How you doing? I'm Brandon Bolden, and you're listening to Scoop B Radio.
Scoopy Radio on the plane, on the train, everywhere you want to be. Make sure to check out Scoopy Radio on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn app, Stitcher app, or simply visit scoopyradio.net. I am your host, Brandon Scoopy Robinson, and I'm sitting with a two-time Super Bowl champion. Brandon Bolden joins us on the program today. Brother, what's going on?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Making it happen, just like you.
I hear that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have your hands in a lot of stuff. From what I understand, the nonprofit sector and the give back sector is something that you are orchestrating. Tell me more about that.
Right now we're trying to get my foundation off the ground, the Be Bold Foundation, and it's all about early screening, getting people more aware of the side effects and stuff about cancer, and it's more for people who look like me and you. Those people who are afraid of going to the doctor or just flat out scared of what they're going to find out at the doctor. And so we're trying to, push that knowledge forward and, get everybody, feeling a lot better and moving in the right direction.
What kind of got you started in that process of the Get Back?
That started, it started in college. We were at the Cotton Bowl long time ago. And we actually went to St. Jude Hospital and made a few connections there and got to meet a lot of kids. And then when I went to New England, my first couple of years, we kind of did the same thing. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2018, had surgery, had it removed, and been cancer-free ever since. And even for me, I was one of those people who was afraid of what I was going to hear if I went to the doctor, afraid of what was going to happen to me, relationship-wise, job-wise, and everything else if everybody else found out about what I had going on. And I felt that it's better to get out and talk about it, stand in front, and we need a voice to get out and talk about the prevention and things like that to keep our people healthy and keep everybody happy.
You were a New England Patriot when you were diagnosed?
Yes.
What was the support system like when you were diagnosed?
The support system was great. We lost the Super Bowl against the Eagles. And so went back and had a couple biopsies. They told me, I took it upon myself to call Bill Belichick myself and tell him, hey, coach, this is what I have going on. And I understand if y'all have to, move forward or if y'all have to do whatever you got to do, but this is what I'm going through. And he told me right then and there, he was like, well, whatever you're going through, we're going through it with you, and you have our full support. And, we'll see you whenever, you're healthy enough to come back. I think I had surgery and I was out the building for 3 weeks maybe. And when I got back, it was like nothing ever happened. I didn't have the full function. I didn't have full function of the right side of my face. And looking back on it, talking about it with a few of my teammates, and none of them ever brought it to my attention. None of them would say, hey, bro, you look weird or anything like that. It was kind of like, it was a job, it was a brotherhood, and they looked after me and made sure I was good in all aspects, and like coaches, players, supporting staff. And I can't leave out, my wife, my son, and my daughter. They didn't treat me any differently. Like as soon as I got out of the hospital, it was back to daddy duties. I was carrying people in and out of the car and everything else. So, and that's kind of how I wanted it. I didn't want to dwell on it. I really didn't want to talk about it too much. So the support system that I had was kind of the support system you dream about.
I like it. And I'm glad to see you beat it. And I'm glad to see that you had the support system, like your teammates, like your coach, who believed in you and spoke well of you and spoke and poured into you to make sure that you were great.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here without them, any of them.
No, I believe it. You mentioned a buzzword and it's got my ears perked up. You talked about Bill Belichick, and now former head coach of the New England Patriots, and I feel like a lot more people are offering a more personable side to him, which I think is pretty cool as he's transitioning into TV and more. Did his move to TV surprise you?
Yes and no. He he kind of went in and out of that during the season, even though he was the biggest person against going on TV while, you still had a job for the New England Patriots. But to see him, co-star on a few things, chime in here and there, and it was cool to see. And because everybody always talks about, you rarely see Bill smile. Bill smiled if when he wanted to. Like he'll crack a joke and probably nobody in the whole building would laugh, but he would find it funny. And it would kind of be like, oh, you do have that kind of side. And it took me maybe 3 or 4 years from the time I got there to actually get on that side of him because you hear all those stories that like as a rookie coming in, it's Bill Belichick, it's Tom Brady, it's Rob Gronkowski. And then once you get in the building, they're the nicest people in the building. Well, Bill not so much. Tom and Rob were great, but Bill, it was all business. Right. It was great. And like I said, like year 3 or 4, I don't know. I guess I got a little comfortable and we walked past each other. It was early in the morning, like 6, 7 in the morning. We walked past each other in the hallway and we didn't speak. Now, how I grew up, you didn't play that in the house. You couldn't walk past anybody and not speak. And so it was kind of one of them like, hey, coach, I ain't sleep with you last night. Good morning. How you doing? And he chuckled. He cussed me out. And then he said good morning back. And so then, like, from that point on, I was like, oh, I probably messed up. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm getting a little too comfortable. But ever since that moment, hey, B, did you hear about this? Have you watched the news? Did you hear they doing this rule change? And it's kind of like it became, as like we said in the locker room, you just kind of become one of the guys who he just has like little small talk with. But through those small interactions, you get to see Bill Belichick, the person, not Bill Belichick, the coach. And I got to see a lot of aspects with him because his son was on the coaching staff. So you get to see Bill Belichick, the dad, and then winning Super Bowls and all that stuff. I got to see Bill put on a lot of hats. And he like when I say this man knows football to the point to where it's scary. And I know everybody, because I mean, like, let's throw it out there. You mention Bill Belichick, first thing you think about is, oh, he cheats. That's not entirely true. I can't speak before I got there, but I know once I got there, he taught us the basics of football to a point where if you went off of just basic strategy, you could pretty much have a 70 to 80% chance of knowing exactly what's coming on the next play. And that's all the way down to the individual. So Bill had me like what's the name of the movie? Any Given Sunday.
Yep.
Remember that last scene where the coach was telling Jamie Foxx if that DN knuckles turn white, he's coming, but if they're red, he's just gonna kind of half-ass it a little bit. Mm-hmm. That was Bill Belichick to a T. And he had that scout report on everybody who stepped into that field on the field. And I'm talking about your scouting report from high school until the game you played last week. Whoa. And so you have these little side notes and you have these 2-hour long meetings learning about your opponent, but we knew our opponent so well to where even if they were in the huddle and somebody lined up differently, what we know is it's a different type of play. As he would say, they're going off script when they do stuff like this. Or if you had a coach who had a successful, as he called it, backyard college play, and we saw kind of those same bodies lining up on the field, we knew what play was coming, so we knew how to defend it. And that goes all the way from the Super Bowl interception with Malcolm Butler, the Dante Hightower strip sack. Those were all plays where we were coached. If they come out and do this, or if he's looking this way, this is what we're going to do. And we went out there and, we executed it. So like I said, I learned more than just football. I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about life. And unfortunately, I learned a lot about the NFL as a business. Like it's great, it's cool, but when you see a 13-year vet, he spent all 13 years in New England, get traded for a guy going on his second year, he plays tight end. We don't even get the same position, and you learn it's like this is a business. It's nothing personal because even the year I played for Miami, New England won the Super Bowl. After that season, I signed back to New England, and at this point, this was like going into year 7 or 8 for me. So we're there working out in the spring and they're getting ready for the ring ceremony. I'm getting ready to go home. And I just get a tap on the shoulder. It was like, hey, you're not doing nothing tonight. You should come to the ring ceremony. I know you're not getting a ring, but come hang out with the guys. And so then I'm like trying to figure out if that's cool. That's cool. And I ran up to Bill and was like, hey, coach, is it cool if I, pull up to the ring ceremony? What you mean? Yeah, you better come. Hey, it's not a party if we don't got everybody coming. So, and I appreciate them for that because, they didn't have to do that. I wasn't part of that team. As a matter of fact, we was one of the only teams who like really outright beat them when we were out in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them to let me come to that again, showed me another side of Bill to where, I can respect him on an even higher level because, like I said, I had no business being there. I had no right to be there. But I sure was right there, hosting, celebrating them, and just having a good time because, again, those are my guys, my brothers, and like I said, I only missed that 1 year, but it was cool, and for them to even ask me to be a part of it, that was probably the highlight of my whole time there.
Wow, I mean, you talk to a lot of different guys, and there's a level of mystique, or people don't give as elongated of an answer about Bill Belichick that you did. You literally went on for about 5 to 10 minutes just talking about Bill Belichick. I think that I've never met him, but this is the most conversation I've had about him with anybody that I've talked with. So I'm appreciative of your candor.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Do you see him transitioning as an analyst lasting long, or do you see him going back to coaching one day?
I see him going back to coaching one day. He's one of those old school guys where, he'll try something out, but I don't see him being an analyst because he won't be able to be his true, authentic self.
Right.
Like hearing Bill keeping it PG on TV, it hurts me because it's like, I know that's not what he really wanted to say.
Right.
And, he's that guy. When I say between him, Saban, and Pete Carroll, I say just football IQ is not of this world. So it's like if you can imagine the top professor at a college having to come in and explain to a freshman class how he got to his master's degree, how lost those people were. When you really watch Bill break stuff down, people will be dumbfounded because it's like, first off, why are you looking over there? And second, how you even notice that? So I don't see that lasting extremely long unless he gets like his own thing to where he can run it how he wants to and he's able to be himself.
Sure. No, your illustration, as I'm thinking about it, or as I'm listening to, I'm thinking about Greg Popovich, San Antonio Spurs head coach in the NBA. I couldn't imagine Greg without basketball. I couldn't imagine Belichick without football. And quirky humor to me is so similar. And the way that they organizations are very similar.
Very, 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 very. Like it was some type of secret school and not everybody was invited.
Word. So you at the running back position have seen a lot of things change over the last, I would say, 5 years. I feel like just like the point guard position in basketball has evolved where there's more lead guards, you have a lot of running backs that are hybrid. You have guys like Saquon Barkley, who I think, to me, is a similar mold to Brian Westbrook, who I think was ahead of his time as far as the way he played in the Eagle system as a running back.
Yes.
Do you think that level of tier of a running back is going to continue? And what's the next thing that you're watching at that position?
Yeah. So let's see. This is what I just finished year 12. So I've seen a ton of changes. When I first came in, there was your first and second down guys who were more of your LeGarrette Blunts, Brian Westbrook towards the end of his career. And then you had the guys who were your third down backs, your pass catchers like Danny Woodhead, James White, Shane Vereen, and just to name a few. And you kind of see New Orleans still kind of have that same kind of mentality. Alvin Kamara, he'll probably get a few runs, but he's more in their third down, get you out of bad situation type deals. What you're starting to see is switch to the bigger guys actually have soft hands. The bigger guys can catch and run. The bigger guys can go out there and run 12, 13, 20-yard routes and, get things done. So I see that coming in a drastic change. And I was actually talking with one of my college teammates, and he's a coach at a college now. And all he kept saying was, everybody's just getting faster. He
Yeah.
said even the big kids are getting faster. So what I think is going to be next for that position is it's going to be the fastest guy in the room who's going to be your workhorse. Your big guys going to come in, do your goal line stuff, short yardage, but the fast guys who got a little weight to them, like the kid from Atlanta, I can't think of his name right now. Number 7. As fast as he is, as big as he is, and he can catch, I think that's going to be the new standard for running back moving forward, because that's what everybody's going to. They don't want to switch it out. They don't want guys to come in. They know it's going to be a passing situation to keep everybody on their toes. So I think you're going to see the bigger, faster guys who can actually catch passes out the backfield. And that's kind of where I see it headed right now.
Fellow Brandon Bolden, 2-time Super Bowl champion, joins us on Scoopy Radio, talking all things entrepreneurial, football, past and present, and telling Bill Belichick stories that are the envy of every other podcast and every other radio show imaginable. You made mention of Drew Brees, and I feel like at his height and his position, you don't see guys play the game of football now the way he was playing in his prime. Do you see that assessment? And if so, do you see a wave of guys that play like Drew Brees making a cameo at some point down the line?
Right now the NFL is moving towards a more mobile quarterback scene. So we're going kind of like history repeating itself with the Randall Cunninghams, the Michael Vicks. I even throw Jared Allen in there because he can get down too. And that's more of what's going to. We're kind of moving away from the pocket passer, the traditional pocket passer, the Drew Brees, the Tom Brady's, Rick Gannon's, guys not standing back there to get hit anymore. And so, and I don't know a lot of the younger mobile quarterbacks. I can speak I played against Lamar, so I got to watch him. Like watching him and playing him, I can tell that his football IQ is on par to Drew Brees. I'm not saying that he's Drew Brees in no way, form, or fashion, but his football IQ, him being able to recognize coverages, getting in and out of bad plays, I still see that. And I can't speak for the young guys. I haven't played with a lot of younger guys. Most of all quarterbacks I had besides last year were all either my age or older. So even with Aiden O'Connell, it took him a while. But once he got comfortable, he started showing signs of a veteran quarterback. Seeing guys coming out and knowing the difference between a cover 2 shell and a cover 3 shell, a disguise and who's blitzing, who's not blitzing. And that takes time. That takes film work. That takes getting in there with your coach and everything else. So as of right now, like how kind of on TV, how you see the play callers, even while the plays out there look like it's being called, they're still on the headset. I think that's kind of what it's going to be. And I'm not going to call it a crutch, but they're trying to help the young guys. And once they get to that Drew Brees point, I think you'll see a lot less people trying to talk to the quarterback line. The quarterback's trying to read it. Mm-hmm. You really didn't see the OC in Drew's ear while he's, demanding what guys do. And I had Tom Brady, so Tom was an entirely different breed. Tom, we break the huddle and he's changing the play. We haven't even lined up yet. And so like the first couple of times he did it to me, I'm looking at him like, bro, what do you see? Because they haven't even lined up. He's like, well, and the beautiful part about being in New England was it wasn't assigned seats. And I was just being a young guy. I wanted to sit in the back of the plane. And in this, we had kind of a big plane. It was 2 seats, 3 seats in the middle, and 2 seats on the other side. So if you was able to get a row to yourself, you could stretch out, enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it wasn't until like week 2 or 3 where I actually set up to see who was sitting in front of me, and it was Tom. And he watched film from the time we sat in our seats till we got there. And even after the game, we won. He watched film from the time we got on the plane till we got back to the facility. And just halfway through, was like, all right, bro, teach me because I need to know what you're looking at because I can't anticipate changing the plays how you calling them.
Mm.
And he sat back there and he coached me for about a solid 3, 4 weeks until I finally got it to where I'm looking at him breaking the huddles like, you gonna change it now or you gonna play this game?
Right.
You know, and so it's gonna get back to those Drew Brees, Tom Brady-esque play callers being back out there. It's like these guys are young and the NFL can be difficult because everybody trying to trick everybody pretty much. So I feel like in a year or two, these same guys we were talking about, they're going to be out there like straight field generals, and it's going to be amazing to watch. But I'm thinking it's going to get back to that. It's just because we got a young crowd right now, is where you got more input from coaches than actual people who's out there need to be calling the plays.
So riddle me this: you talked about Tom Brady and his ability to read defenses and change plays on the fly. I'm thinking of two things. It's a two-part question. One, does it give you Kobe vibes?
Immensely. He's a big Kobe fan. He's a huge Kobe fan, actually. And him being a California kid, it was always something for him to brag about. Like, oh, my Lakers this, my Lakers that. And before Kobe passed, he actually came and met with the team. And you would have thought they met the Princess Zamunda. How everybody was just so, oh my God, it was Kobe. And what the thing that I saw was it's Kobe Bryant. It's the Kobe Bryant. He's in here with a long sleeve Nike shirt, some gym shorts, and his signature shoes. But he dressed completely down for the occasion. He was comfortable. And I remember guys just kept talking about like Kobe just walking around like taking everybody's hand, introducing himself like we didn't know who it was.
Hmm.
Well, so I heard that story. First thing came to my mind. I remember my rookie year, I had undrafted free agent. I hadn't even got my equipment, and Tom Brady comes sit next to me at my locker, shakes my hand, and introduces himself. Like, I didn't know who he was,
Huh.
and I went and I actually mentioned that story to Tom, and he said himself. He was like, "B, I didn't know what to do." He shook my hand, introduced himself. He said, "I tried not to fangirl," and I was just, it. They their work ethic, how they go about the game, that Mamba mentality. Yeah, I see a lot of similarities between them two.
Second part question: does LeBron James' stint with the Lakers currently, with his son and JJ Redick and everything else, at this point remind you more of Michael as a Wizard or Tom Brady as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with Oh, that's a good one. I never thought about that. I'm a I guess because it's more recent, fresh in my mind, Tom and Tampa. But now that you say Jordan as a Wizard, he was calling the shots before he hung him all the way up, like calling, I want him, and him, and if it ain't them, I don't want them. I do remember that. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say Jordan with the Wizards
Okay.
because he was in the front office before he was in the front office. You know what I mean?
Yes, he was. But it ended
That
bad.
was a good one.
But it ended
Yeah,
bad with Washington and Dan.
it did. It did. It did. It did. It did. But hopefully, as history goes on, we try to learn from our mistakes. So, hopefully we won't see that again.
Right.
But you never know. But I'm excited to see it. I think it's dope, to be the first father-son duo in the NBA.
Mm.
And especially a black father in the NBA. My son was showing me pictures of when Bronny was like a kid when he won his first championship, and to see that he's still out there and he's gonna be able to play with his son. And I think that's gonna be dope.
Longevity, health, prayer, and going to USC so the Lakers keep a keen eye on him. Definitely worked to LeBron's benefit. I'm curious, as a football player, you've seen it in baseball. Ken Griffey Jr. and his dad, teammates, but you've not seen it in basketball. Is there anything close to it in football?
Uh no, the closest I've heard is like father retiring and the son going on the team that he was on, and the dad just ended up coaching.
Okay.
You see that, and you also see like the coaches bringing their kids in, and the coaches on the coaching staff. That was in New England. The Raiders are doing it now. That's kind of like the more of the trend. Not a lot of people are fortunate to be able to play with their kids. My son, he was sitting up here joking. He's 13 and he wants to play football, and he was like, "You think you could tough it out?" I said, "The only way we're doing that is you graduate high school in 2 years, and you get drafted in the next 2 years, and maybe on my way out, I'm hanging around just for you. But if
Uh-huh.
you can't pull this off in another 5 years, my guy, I'll be in the stands waiting for you, cheering just as hard." But that's and the NFL is, like as people say, the NFL stands for not for long. And you don't really get to hang around too much. I've been extremely blessed. Just finished 12 years. Hopefully, I'll be able to play for 13. I got to see Tom play over 13. I got to play with Frank Gore, who played over 14 years. Matthew Slater. I think he played 17 years or something crazy like that. So I got to see, play against, hear stories, get tips how to stay healthy and stuff like that. And that's been the coolest part. But even even when I remember in Miami, me and Frank was playing, and his son was at the University of Miami. I remember messing with him about it. I was like, "You gonna hang around? You're Frank Gore. You can get 5 carries a game and still have a job next year." I love Frank. Frank, one of them country Florida boys. Man, beyond. I don't like it that much. Like Frank said, whether I'm on the field with him, in the locker room with him, I'm still gonna be his daddy. He still be able to ask me whatever he need to ask me. So whether we don't got to be on the same team, we already on the same team. And that's how I look at it with my son. Speaking about Matthew Slater, his dad, Jackie Slater, played 20 years in the league. And, he said the same thing. He said it would have been nice, but, it just don't work out that way for everybody. So that would be cool. If it does happen, I can see a kicker and maybe one of his kids do
Yeah.
it. But as far as one of our positions that we get hit every play, I don't see many of us sticking around, past 12, 13, 14. Because when I first got in the league, average career of a running back was like 2.5 years. And then for an undrafted guy, it was like, I think 1 year. So like I said, I'm extremely blessed to be in a position I'm in. Got to see a lot of different stuff, see a lot of rule changes. And it's just been a hell of a ride. And, I'm glad I had my family to, witness a lot of this stuff with me.
For sure. And you played in Vegas last year.
Yeah. I did 2 years with the Raiders.
How was that heat during the I guess during the course of the season? Do you prefer that, or do you prefer New England cold?
Oh, I'll take the heat. Look here. I'll take that Las Vegas heat any day of the week, any time of the year before that snow globe that they call New England.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, New England is in its own, it is an okay place.
Right.
It's cool to work there. To this day, and you can ask anybody from New England who know me who wasn't in that locker room. I ask people all the time, how y'all live here? Because it's great every day. It's just like some weeks you will go a whole week without seeing the sun. like terrible. But in Vegas, nah, you don't got them problems. You see clouds, you know something wrong. It's like, oh, we got to pack something up because it's coming. There's no clouds, and when I say it's 1:14 at 9 in the morning, and it's 1:04 at 6 at night, it's hot, and it stay hot. The only bad thing I got to say about Vegas is just the dry heat. I'm from Louisiana, so it could get up to 105 and 90% humidity. We had 10 like 107.
Yeah, that's different heat in Louisiana. That's southern heat versus that West Coast
Yeah,
desert heat.
yeah. There's two different animals. So when you say why rather the hot or the cold, I'm from Louisiana. I take heat any day. Like I said, ugh, like my birthday is in January, so pretty much from the beginning of January to halfway through March, the high is like 40.
Huh.
Yeah. And what? That was like 20. That was in 21. We played in we played the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo.
Oh
I
no.
think it was something crazy like 20 or 30 mile per hour winds. And it dropped the wind chill made it drop down to like -20.
Nope.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? I ain't, That's the coldest I ever been. That's the coldest I ever will be. I'm not trying to do it again.
But I think it's crazy that some football players, when they play in that cold weather, they're sleeveless. Like they don't wear anything under. That's
Oh, no, that's me. So it's weird. The material that we have for the cold gear, it's like it's like a blanket. Like if you imagine the sleeve on the inside of the sleeve,
right.
it's like a blanket. It's
Okay.
gonna keep you warm. The outside is slick. And so when that weather is like that, it's already dry because it's cold. So the ball don't have no type of moisture. So that ball hit that sleeve, it's just gonna slide right off.
That makes sense.
So your average, like your average player, they go, oh boy, they go put they do a Vaseline rub, like you hit all extremities with just Vaseline
Right.
from armpit to wrist, and they
Right.
got this other stuff called it's white, warm skin,
Right.
and it's like the paste version of Vaseline. You put
Okay.
it on the same way, but it's supposed to like clog up your pores. Nothing can come in, but it
Huh.
just insulates you. So you can have that on. And the bad part about that, so let's say you start the game, you go out for warm ups, and it's cold. Like you're not sweating, and it's a light warm up because it's too cold to be out there to be
Right.
full blown rah rah rah. But by halfway through the game, you've been playing, so now that sweat kicking on. Well, you're not sweating like you're supposed to. It's once that sweat breaks through that layer of Vaseline or warm skin, you start sweating like you've been in the gym for 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
And so that was the first time I've ever been in a game where it was cold like that, and this guy's over here cramping up like
Huh.
it's camp practice. Like, oh my calf, oh my pec, my bicep, and I'm looking like I'm all for drinking water and doing electrolytes, but it's too cold for y'all to be cramping. And then when you go back to their locker, you see the big tube of Vaseline or warm skin. It's halfway empty. Like these guys go in there and put on a new layer of skin, putting all that stuff on. So like it's stuff around it, but they're going out there with the no sleeves for a lot of people. That's probably your best bet. If you're not one of like we had a running back coach in New England, if you didn't practice in sleeves, you couldn't wear sleeves in the game.
Oh wow.
So it was a lot of games where, like, especially I play special teams and running back. If I knew I wasn't playing running back that game, I want to go out there and wear sleeves, but I ain't wore sleeves all week. So now I got to deal with my coach talking about some. Nah, you ain't had sleeves on all week. You ain't cold. What? Are you serious? And
Yeah.
it was after my second year. It didn't matter if it was hot, raining, cold, a blizzard outside. I had some type of sleeves on. And even to this day, like, even in Vegas, we would go out there full pads. I have on a long sleeve t-shirt, a cutoff hoodie, just so I can have sleeves in case we get to a game and it's a little too cold for me. I know I ain't about to do a whole lot.
Right.
So it is I'm just it's engraved in me. I can't do it. If I don't have sleeves on at practice, it's not going to be a good day of practice for me. I have to have my sleeves on.
But you talked about if you knew you weren't going to play on offense, but special teams, you'd wear sleeves. What about a defensive player? What about a defensive lineman or a D tackle? Like, is that logic similar versus you, who's more of an offensive player?
No, they don't have that. We have. It's two different mindsets. Defensive players I mess with Dante Hightower this all the time. Defensive players hope they get the ball.
Okay,
You
true,
know,
true.
on offense, we know at some point it's gonna bounce my direction.
Right.
You know, so defensive players, and they were kind of the people who was always like, I always wear my sleeves. I always wear sleeves, and that's when it was like common sense, like, duh, I always wear sleeves. You see me with sleeves on, you ain't gonna never second guess me having my sleeves on. And it was, I think this was like 2014, where like we was up there for the record of like most takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
You go back and watch every takeaway we had that season. Everybody who intercepted or picked up a fumble had sleeves on.
Yeah.
So for the defensive guys, they're going out there to be comfortable. They know they're about to get scratched up, banged up. They know it's a slim chance I'm getting this ball. So they out there just fully protected. It's cold. Like I said, it get cold for some of them games. But
Mm-hmm.
on offense, it don't matter how cold we get. Them elbows got to be out, biceps got to be clear. You better not have nothing on your forearms because if that ball come out, Lord, if that ball come out, I ain't. You have siblings, right?
Yeah.
You ever caught one of them whippings where you felt bad for your siblings?
Yes.
So a few times when them guys fumble with them sleeves on, that's exactly what it feel like. We on the sideline, like, oh, don't go in the room.
Yes.
Don't go in the room.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's kind of what it's like for us on offense.
Nah, man, you schooled me on everything. Entrepreneurial to Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, sleeve or no sleeve. I don't think we left any stone unturned, did we?
I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, you off the hot seat.
All right, man. That was easy.
Yes, sir. Brother, thank you so much for your time. And I'll be looking out for what you do next.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
My man.